achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. Specifically, he called for expanded efforts in Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. Greg Clugston, Washington.
NASCAR's first International Cup Series race of the modern era brought new fans to the series and provided its competitors with a chance to enjoy a new country. The event had its detractors, but most observers say, despite a few things like travel delays and hotel room problems and some confusion, it was a shining moment for NASCAR on Sunday in Mexico City. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Israel's government cries foul after some Israeli defense industries displays are given the stealth treatment at the Paris Air Show.
French authorities ordered black partition walls placed around some Israeli displays. The walls appeared overnight, visually isolating Israeli booths from dozens of other international exhibitors. Israeli officials say the move followed a last-minute demand from organizers to remove offensive weapon systems from display. A French official claims Israeli exhibitors were told weeks ago that they could not exhibit certain kinds of equipment. While some complied, others did not. Rich Thomason, Washington.
The French President Emmanuel Macron landed on Sunday in Greenland, the strategic Arctic island coveted by President Trump, carrying a message of solidarity and friendship from France and the European Union. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion.
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of America Matters here on Zacky Radio. I'm your host, Leo Zacky. Joining me today is Eddie Floyd and Joshua Matriciana. So glad to have them both with us today. And wow, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about what's going on with Freedom Fest that just took place this past week/weekend in Palm Desert. We had a lot of fun out there. But before we jump into that, I want to give a big shout out, hello, welcome, and thank you to everybody out there tuning in on 93.7 KPGF, as well as all those other wonderful stations out there, including AM 1060. And that means the Salem Network, the Radio for America Network, the Answer Network, the Kevin Jackson Network, and AUN Television. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. And also a big thank you to all the folks out there that help make this broadcast get available to all of you. So thank you for that. And don't forget, you can always comment on the show on America Matters Media's Facebook or LinkedIn page, or you can simply go to Zacky Radio on YouTube or Rumble. Or, well, follow us also on any of the social medias, especially Instagram. That's a really good one. We love Instagram, so make sure you're following them, Zacky Radio there, or me at Leo S. Zacky on Instagram or X. I know, always a nice long introduction, but with that, Joshua, tell us what's going on, brother.
Howdy. Well, we just came back from Freedom Fest, which was pretty exciting, but we've got a lot of really interesting things to talk about. So,
So we do. I think that's your mic buzzing, bud.
Oh, let me figure out my mic issues, and I'll let you start in with the intro.
All right. So yeah. Get that handled. All right. So anyways, so what do you get when the people start asking real questions, okay? And the ruling class panics, right? What happens? Well, you get protests that look, well, and smell spontaneously like a PR campaign. You get riots dressed in activist drag. You get smoke grenades and instead of solutions. You get, well, violence. So all while that drama was playing out in downtown LA, where I was, I not obviously protesting or rioting, covering the insanity. I saw it with my own eyes. I had to see this. You know, the cameras that were there, they caught the shouting, they caught the signs, they caught the speeches. But what they missed is what we're going to expose today. Earlier that same week, I was in Palm Springs at FreedomFest 2025, and it was the biggest event for libertarians, actual free speech, and, well, just pure American grit. And I got to meet some really great patriots and business leaders and crypto miners and doctors and truth tellers from all across the country. A real grassroots fire, the real movers and shakers of freedom. And they don't care about party line. So that was pretty cool.
Yep.
So then after all that, being out there in the heat of Palm Springs, I came back to the staged inferno here in Los Angeles of paid protesters, manufactured outrage, billionaires funding the chaos. Well,
Wow.
why? Because people are waking up and the elites are scared. And in this episode, we're unpacking all of it, from real movements to really fake revolutions, from truth seekers to narrative managers. And in the final stretch of today's show, I'm going to name those names, tell you exactly which networks are funding this madness and how we shut it down. So you better stick around for all that.
You better believe it. And as a matter of fact, I broke out 4 different segments. I'll start with segment 1, Leo and Joshua. And segment 1 I have titled Freedom Fest and the Fire That Still Burns. Take it away.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Well,
John.
before we get into segment 1, though, I got to tell you, it was such an honor to be out there with Leo at Freedom Fest. We were up there on Media Row, and we got a bunch of incredible interviews.
Great.
With some really great people. And I can't wait, because some of those interviews are actually going to be making it onto the show in the upcoming episodes. So we'll get a chance to go through in depth some of these fascinating conversations that Leo just masterfully, crafted with these guys out there. So I'm looking forward to those, just to put a little side note in there.
Well, I appreciate that, Josh. I had a lot of fun talking to a lot of the people. I mean, not a lot, all of the people that I met there. Great, like we mentioned, like amazing leaders, amazing doctors. We talked to the former vice president candidate for the Libertarian Party. We talked to people that have organizations that are trying to help education for children. We talked to, obviously, the great Dr. Robert Malone, and even RFK Jr.'s communication director. We all know him, Del Bigtree. What a guy. And he's more than just a communication director for RFK Jr. But there's just so many great people, and it was a great event. I'm glad it was inside in the air conditioning, because oh my God, it was hot as hell in Palm Springs. But that's Palm Springs for you in June. What do you expect, right?
Right.
Oh man, but no, it was a good time, and we're just staying busy, pushing out here, and that's what we got to keep doing. Isn't that right, Josh?
That's right. It was hot there, but it's even hotter right here on the show.
Oh. Well, we got a lot to cover here. So I don't know. Should we jump into this first break a little early and come back in our first segment?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go take our first break a little bit early right now, and when we get back, we're going to talk to you about what's happened with Freedom Fest and the fire that still burns. I'm Leo Zacky with Josh Patriciana and Eddie Floyd. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet. suggesting the right art support and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by a Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of Happy Feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Can you define the 4 different parts of Medicare? Do you have Medicare prescription drug gap coverage? At Nevada Senior Advisors, we will walk through the different parts of Medicare, including Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, Part D prescription drug plans, to help you determine which option is right for you. Visit nvsenioradvisors.com, call 775-674-2223 to set up an appointment. Nevada Senior Advisors is not affiliated with or endorsed by the federal Medicare program or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.
Are you tired of soaring energy bills and seeking a more sustainable way to power your life? Look no further than Sunrise Energy Consulting. We specialize in personalized solar solutions designed to lower your costs and provide energy independence. Our experienced team will guide you through every step of the process, from initial consultation to seamless installation and continued support, ensuring a hassle-free transition to clean, renewable energy. Join the solar movement today and take control of your energy future. Call or text us at 775-340-0162 to schedule your consultation. For more information, visit our website at www.sunriseenergyconsulting.com. Let's illuminate a greener tomorrow together.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm your host, Leo Zacky, with Eddie Floyd and Joshua Matriciana. Glad to have them both with me today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened at Freedom Fest. So I told you in the beginning of this episode I'd expose what's going on behind the chaos in our streets. But, let's talk about what real liberty looks like. Just because, I had just got back from Freedom Fest and it was awesome. And let me tell you, America ain't dead yet. All right. There's a minority, I say, that are definitely brain dead, but, the country, and especially this state, California, they're at the boiling point, and we're ready for a transformation. California is ready, prime, ripe, and ready to turn red. And Freedom Fest isn't some corporate sponsored party for phonies. It's regular people who've had enough. It's farmers, it's business owners, it's parents, students, and they're not throwing tantrums. They're throwing lifelines. And I had the honor of interviewing people who've been censored, surveilled, locked out of the economy. I mean, every single one of them said the same thing. We're not backing down.
Amen.
You want to know what real resistance looks like? It ain't a hashtag. It's people building new banks, growing real food, protecting their kids from indoctrination, taking back their towns. It's men and women who still believe in hard work and not handouts. Okay? That's what the attendees at Freedom Fest represent. But guess what? That energy, that real bottom-up America First energy, it terrifies the ruling class because they know it can spread and they know it can win. And that's why we're building something in Palm Springs. They were, burning something in downtown LA, but, I'm going to walk you through what I saw on the ground during those No King protests and why the whole thing looked like a stage production.
Wow.
Okay. So these No King protests in downtown LA, okay, not grassroots, totally choreographed, and just, right down to the hashtags and the press coverage. Let's talk about who made it happen, right? And why we got why the receipts are missing from all this. So let's start over here, right? Over 200 organizations were involved, and this wasn't some sort of flash mob. It was an organized movement with structure and communication, and they thought, well, they'd rather you not know who's funding it, right? Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about who's involved?
Right.
All right, I don't have great sound today. I'm sorry about that, but who's involved? So, according to their own statements, the protest coalition included groups like Indivisible, the ACLU, Move On, the 5501 movement, the various SEIU chapters. There's a lot of like student and activist organizations involved in there. But these groups didn't just bring like the bodies, the people there, but they brought the infrastructure to it. Buses, signage, sound systems, all the equipment, the security. This stuff costs money. A lot of it.
Yeah, you've put on a lot of events, Josh, so here's the kicker. There's no full accounting of who paid, no detailed disclosures, no public grant reports, just layers of nonprofits, and many of which are tax exempt, all shielding the financial trails behind progressive causes. And then there's this bombshell. Everybody knows Walmart, right? Well, Christy Walton, one of the wealthiest women in the country, and heiress to the Walmart fortune, personally paid for a full-page ad in the rag known as the New York Times promoting the No King protests. Okay?
Wow.
Think about that. Okay? The same elites who preach against corporate power, right, are being bankrolled by America's retail royalty. That ad ain't cheap, okay? And it ran in multiple editions, and it was syndicated across several progressive outlets, okay? So ask yourself, why? Why would a billionaire be so invested in amplifying a movement supposedly led by the working class, right? How does that make any sense? Well, I'll tell you, because these protests aren't about bottom-up change. They're about top-down control.
Amen.
So when the people start trusting the government, the elites build a new one out of nonprofits, okay? Or stop trusting the government, that is, okay? And they get influencers and slogans and, well, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like the DNC affiliation with all this stuff too. Multiple reports, including a Fox News investigation and an analysis done by journalist Azra Nomani, found that at least 198 different groups affiliated with the Democrat Party, okay, coordinated the No Kings activities across 19 states.
Wow.
And, that represented about, $2.1 billion in annual revenue with those organizations combined. I'm not saying that they spent $2.1 billion on this protest or riot or whatever the hell you want to call it. But it doesn't mean these organizations, it does mean that these organizations had the financial capability to rapidly deploy these events and the media coordination and the voter outreach, just to say it's all a protest, but that's just a disguise. In fact, there are leaked screenshots internally from Slack channels posted by users like jsmith4966 on X, okay, that show message templates sent to organizers from DNC-aligned accounts. So, is this a spontaneous revolution, Josh? Or is it a operation wearing a hoodie? No. Right? Here, Josh, tell us.
Here's what we know. Okay, the protests mirrored a political rollout, not a community uprising. Okay, there were over 70 DNC-aligned groups that allegedly coordinated communications across regional, chapters, whatever. Federal campaign finance rules don't apply to nonprofits, meaning that they can legally spend unlimited resources on quote-unquote educational efforts. It's a legal gray zone, but, make no mistake, it is being exploited.
Wow.
Yeah, here we got a tape here with Congressman Luna from Florida I wanted to share with you guys so you guys understand in more detail what's going on with all that. If you can...
Congresswoman, looking at this chaos, who's funding it and why are they funding it?
So it's actually being funded by a billionaire by the name of Neville Singham. He's actually funding a group called the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which if you look online, they are a communist organization. What they're doing is they are using Hispanic Americans the way that BLM used black Americans during these whites, and frankly, the way that Code Pink, which is also funded by the CCP, is using Palestinians. So what they're trying to do is they're using this to usher in Marxism. But it's important to note that actually when you find and you follow the money trail, Mr. Singham is actually largely funded by the Communist Chinese Party. So House Oversight has issued and will be sending a letter this Friday with all members of Oversight calling Mr. Singham to testify before Congress. If he does not appear and does not provide documents, he will then be held in contempt of Congress, and he will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice. We are not playing. This is a different administration. We have the Department of Justice, and if you interfere with American politics and are a foreign agent, you will be held accountable.
Yes, sir.
I like that. So, now you've heard the name now, Neville Roy Singham. Okay, he's a former tech billionaire, a big-time socialist, and he lives, guess where? Shanghai. Oh, China. And guess what else? He just so happens to be married to the Code Pink co-founder, Jody Evans.
Oh.
Right? What a coinky-dink. And so Singham's been tied to the People's Forum, which has raised over $20 million since 2017, the Justice Education Fund, the United Community Fund, and the Party for Socialism and Liberation, also known as the PSL, which just so happened to participate in the June 8th and 9 riots here in Los Angeles, before the No Kings protest, I guess you can call it the rough draft, the first run, whatever you want to call it.
The warm-up, maybe?
Yeah, right? So some lawmakers, like Representative Anna Paulina Luna, in that interview, which we just watched, claim that Singham is behind all of this, and he's linked to this in a web of foreign-aligned nonprofits used to fund activism here in the United States. But here's the nuance. There's no confirmed evidence tying Singham to the June 14th No King events. However, he is linked to the Party of Socialist Liberation, Party of Socialism and Liberation, and was involved in the leading up riots. So maybe not exactly the No Kings, but riots nonetheless, and the funding and the rough draft or the trial run, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so his organizations operate in the same activist ecosystem, and they're often overlapping with Soros-backed and DNC-aligned partners. So is he directly funding No Kings? That's unknown, but his fingerprints are all over the stage, and that is for sure. So tell us a little bit about this dark money here, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so look, on social media, many of these posts accuse figures like George Soros, Bill Gates, Laurene Powell, Jobs, Arabella Advisors of funding No Kings. Now, some link it to the Tides Foundation or the New Venture Fund, both of which specialize in, let's call them pop-up nonprofits that can be created or dissolved, pretty much instantly. Are those claims credible? We can't say for sure, but there's a couple things that there's no hard evidence for this, but we do know a couple things. These networks have bankrolled dozens of marches and quote-unquote movements since 2020. They've poured money into issue-specific political action PACs, right, and influencer campaigns. And they've received indirect federal funding through grants that have basically been trickled down through things like, USAID.
Wow. So while it's true that the claims about dark money from billionaires remain speculative, the, opacity, right, opacity itself is a problem. So how can the public trust these protests if they won't show the books, right? If this truly was a movement of the people, then let's see who paid for the buses. Let's see who hired the security teams. brought the domain names, who bought those, who managed the email lists, who built the branding, right? Because, somebody had to do it. And until we get these answers, there's only one thing that's very clear. The most dangerous part of the No Kings movement is in the chaos. It's the chaos that's being bought and branded and buried in a paper trail. So, coming up next, we're going to follow the next layer of the plan, why the CCP and its ideological allies are using illegal immigration as a silent invasion, backed not with bullets, but with ballots and a border collapse. So stay with us. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Josh Patriciana. We'll be right back.
Amen.
Businesses, writers, check this out. Go to lrpnv.com to get your printing, publishing, and professional services today. Need a virtual office? A place to receive and forward your mail with professional address and suite number for your business? Someone to answer your telephones? Want to rent a conference room for only $15 an hour? What about that book you've been wanting to have printed? LRP Printing and Business Center can do it for you, and they have a professional assistant on site daily, Monday through Friday. Just call 775-356-1004. Need copies, business cards, invoices, books, booklets, or graphic design to help brand you or your business? Just call 775-356-1004 or go to lrpnv.com. With a great selection of new and used books, you can get your printing done and a book to entertain you in your time off. And don't forget, you could have your business sponsoring the Bookhound Radio Show, just like Andrew Martoni, author of Little Man in the Map, does every week. Just go to lrpnv.com. That's lrpnv.com or call 775-356-1004. They'll provide solutions for your business and writing projects.
Hi, I'm Noreen Leary, CEO of the Veterans Guest House. Guest House is a home away from home for our veterans and their families who travel to Reno for medical care. Our house is more than just a warm bed. It's a place of camaraderie where veterans can find support and long-lasting friends. We serve veterans, men and women, young and old, Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Wherever they hail from and whatever their circumstance, the Veterans Guest House is ready to support them. The reason we feel so strongly about our mission is that we know that many veterans would forgo their medical treatments because they simply can't afford the accommodations. The Guest House is one of a kind in the country, funded entirely through private donations. Want to know how you can help? There are many ways you can be involved, from volunteering, providing dinners, or supplying items from our wish list. Find out more about the Guest House at www.veteransguesthouse.org. Serving veterans today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
But ain't salad now, baby. Sliced fresh sandwiches every day, made right before your eyes. The port of Subway could be a smoking number 5 or a classic number 8, or maybe an Italian is your number 1 fave. Whatever you crave, prepare to fall in love. Sliced fresh sandwiches, port of Subs.
Wake up the flavor of your favorite Port of Sub sandwich with pepperoncini pepperjack bread. Fresh baked bread topped with spicy pepperjack, sprinkled with tangy pepperoncinis, then baked to a light golden brown. It's just the right amount of spice and a little heat to kick up the flavor of your favorite classic sub. Pepperoncini pepperjack is here for a limited time, so visit your neighborhood Port of Subs or order online at portofsubs.com for pickup or delivery. Port of Subs, slicing up the quality you crave.
Whatever yummy number you're dreaming of, sliced fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Joshua Matriciana. Eddie, tell us about this next coming segment we got.
I hope we're talking about the narrative managers and censorship puppeteers, Leo.
No, we're going to talk about this is not immigration.
Okay, good. Then you want to go the fork in the road, my friend?
Yeah. So, anyways, this is our next segment here. So, Last segment, we exposed the money trail behind the No King protests,
Right.
billionaires, nonprofits, and even foreign-linked operatives pulling the strings. But now let's take it up a notch. So let me ask you something. When you hear illegal immigration, what do you picture? Well, if you're like most people, maybe it's a Mexican landscaper, or a mother crossing with her child, or someone working under the table to send money home. Well, that's the old image, and it's being used to cover up something much, much darker. We just got access to a video clip from an ICE agent on the border. So
Wow.
I'll play that clip for you real quick, and then we'll break it down.
We talked to these guys. There was not a single one of them from Mexico. Take a listen to this. Where are you guys from? What country?
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
India.
India. Where are you from?
Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
Turkey. Okay.
India.
India. Where are you guys from?
Turkey.
Turkey. Turkey? Where are you guys from?
China.
China.
Ecuador.
Ecuador? Where are you guys from?
India.
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 India. Sagar Baba.
India. India.
India.
India?
India.
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 India?
Yes. India.
All India? India. Iran.
Iran.
You're all from Iran. Why'd you come?
No freedom.
No freedom?
Yes, in Iran. Iran is a dangerous country. No freedom for speak, for writing, for singing, for thinking.
And then take a look at this. We met up with a local resident out here, Corey Gotero. He's former U.S. military. He goes out and he collects all of these discarded passports and ID cards from these illegal immigrants from all around the world as they cross here in the Jacumba area. He's got an entire room full of them. You'll see passports, IDs from China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, many others. You'll notice many of them are burned or shredded or destroyed in some way as these illegal aliens try to destroy some of these documents as soon as they arrive here in the United States, trying to hide who they are and where they've been. And Gotero says that is a security concern.
They're just dropping this stuff on the ground to come here and assume a new identity. So that's a little bit scary with my military background and seeing the people that are coming across that male, these are all military age males. People keep saying that. I've got the proof right here.
Where are you from? That's the question that the reporter asks.
Right.
And their answers: Senegal, Afghanistan, China, Venezuela, Syria, India, Manchuria, Guinea, India. I mean, Pakistan. Like, I didn't hear Mexico once. Did you?
Not one time.
Yeah. So this isn't about jobs, okay? It's not about agriculture or house cleaning, okay, or hotel maid service or whatever, okay? This is a military-aged male pipeline pouring across the southern border. Nobody's talking about it. You know, the media sells us this humanitarian aid issue, right? They show women and kids, and they talk about opportunity, refuge, compassion. But here's the truth. Border Patrol is now detaining thousands of young, unaccompanied military-age men from the Middle East, from Central Africa, from China, from South America, and Southeast Asia. And many of them, well, guess what? They got no passport. They got no family members, and they have no connection to asylum claims. So what are they doing here? Who sent them? Well, they're arriving, and they're coming in coordinated groups across thousands of miles of desert with cell phones and prepaid transport.
Right.
This isn't migration. This is infiltration. Okay? So let me walk you through the numbers here a little bit. Over 10,000 Chinese nationals have crossed into the United States just this year alone. And that's with Donald Trump's, term and time in office, okay, with the closed borders that we have, okay? That's 10,000 have still come this way. Okay? Most of them, guess what? Single military-aged men. And then we've got ICE agents telling us that more than 60% of these recent apprehensions in Texas were, guess what? non-Mexican. Oh my gosh. You're telling me that more than half of the people that are crossing the border here in Texas are not Mexican, even though they're coming from the Mexican border? This is a Latino-based event? Yeah, well, Customs and Border Patrol officials off the record have reported increased false identity claims, false documents, scrubbed biometrics, and, of course, the paper trail. And you know what they're saying when they get caught, right? Nothing. No name, no reason, just asylum. That's the word. And thanks to Biden's policies, guess what? They get released. Thousands every week. So imagine you're a hostile foreign power. How would you weaken America? Well, if you're like China, death by 1,000 cuts, right?
That's it.
You don't need to fire missiles. You just flood the border with untraceable men, scatter them across the country, and wait. Because this is fifth-generation warfare, all right? It's quiet, it's patient, it's effective, and right now, it's winning. I mean, this clearly ain't about Mexico, you know?
Not at all.
And I got to be crystal clear on this one, okay? It's not about our Mexican neighbors, okay? The average Mexican crossing the border looking for work, you know, they say he's cleaning houses, or she's cleaning houses, he's doing landscaping, they're sending the money home. These new waves, well, they're not farmers, they're not tradesmen. These are organized units, military aged, language barriers, no documentation, no families. And guess what? Some of them are already on watch lists. And last month, a Mauritanian national, Mauritania, by the way, is a country in West Africa, big country, West Africa. Nobody ever goes there. Except there's nothing to see there except for the Eye of the Sahara. That's where people think Atlantis is, a whole side subject. But this Mauritanian nationalist, guess what? Had terrorist ties, and he was caught, but he was released due to the processing backlog that's occurring. So he vanished. And how many others that weren't even flagged got through, right? How many people are sleeping in Airbnbs tonight in Phoenix or San Diego or Denver or Nashville, right?
Right.
You think we're safe? This Trojan horse ain't a myth, okay? It's a model. And, the Biden administration certainly rolled out the red carpet. And so how are they getting here, right? How are they just getting in? Well, they're not necessarily just wandering through the desert on foot, okay? They're booking flights to Central America. They're getting cash cards from the NGO resettlement groups. They're joining WhatsApp groups with GPS, pin drops so they know where to go. They're receiving legal aid from American immigration attorneys. And don't forget, WhatsApp privately owned by Meta, right? So they don't have to necessarily release anything. And that same pre-written asylum script is in everyone's hands, and it's being handed out by nonprofits. Guess what? Funded by you, because they're tax-exempt foundations. And, who taught them that, right? Who translated the paperwork? Who's paying for their travel, right? We have illegal immigrants from Mauritania, Afghanistan, China, and they're showing up with better legal prep than most American citizens have when applying for a job.
Right.
Josh, tell us here about this. Tell us about what they don't want you to hear.
I mean, let's go back to that ICE clip, right? We mentioned it earlier. We watched it earlier. That was just captured recently. I think it was last week. The border agent asked a group of detainees, where are you from? They mentioned all these other countries that we've gone through again and again. None of them said Mexico. But let me ask you, what does that sound like? Because it doesn't sound like immigration. This sounds like insertion, like putting troops behind enemy lines. That's exactly what it sounds like.
Right. Like they're building an enemy line.
Absolutely. So if just 1% of them are operatives, well, guess what? We're looking at potentially thousands of sleeper agents inside our country now. And I'm hearing all sorts of things that people are saying that there's going to be some sort of terrorist attack on July 4th. I mean, I'm not trying to scare folks, but these are the things I hear, right? And it's not, I'm not trying to fear monger. I'm just telling you that there are national security risks here, and you have to be very, very aware of this. So we're witnessing occupation by proxy. So what we demand are immediate deportations, okay, military-led investigations into the CCP and NGO involvement at the border, a complete shutdown of all tax-exempt immigration and legal aid tied to foreign nationals, and national surveillance of transnational routes feeding into Mexico. And most importantly, we stop letting the left frame this as a compassion issue, okay?
Right.
So Donald Trump, we want all of the illegal immigrants deported. I don't care if they're the farm workers or hotel workers. I know those are probably some of your big donors and friends, but guess what? We want them all gone. That's why we voted for you. We wanted total mass deportation, not this lackadaisical, half-assed bullcrap. Okay, so step up or keep losing your base, buddy. That's all I got to say. I'm getting fed up with this. I'm getting very disappointed. So, anyways, we got to take our last break. Coming up in our final segment, we've got 2 lawmakers that are now dead in Minnesota. The press says it's a tragic coincidence, of course. So we say it's a sign of the times. So stay with us. I'm Leo Zacky with Josh Patriciano and Eddie Floyd. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, we have talked before about the fact that you started 27 years ago in Park Lane Mall in a little kiosk. You are now in your own building across the street from the convention center. You've had to do something right.
Well, you know, as we like to think that hard work, you like to think that it does pay off, but you get lucky along the way. You worked hard, you pay attention, and you get yourself ready. So hopefully when the right opportunity comes up to buy a beautiful building like we just have, you triple your size, you cut your overhead by half, and now you know that you're more competitive than ever.
Plus, you've had a chance to use all of the things you learned from that little kiosk in Park Lane Mall.
Oh, man, along the way, I'll tell you, as far as writing that lease check every month, boy, there were times that it was really hard to do. You know, so you learn from your landlords, and it was really great feeling to say goodbye to the landlord. This has allowed us to truly become your local jeweler, your personal shopper.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
The all-volunteer nonprofit Assistance League, Reno Sparks, is working to improve lives in Washoe County. Annually, they provide new clothes and grooming essentials to over 3,000 children through Operation School Bell. Students in Transition addresses needs of homeless teens. Find out more by visiting their website, renosparks.assistanceleague.org. These activities are funded by Assistant League's Thrift Shop at 1701 Vassar Street, open 10 to 4 Monday through Saturday.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. And, well, if you've been with us here since the top of the hour, well, then you already know we've been connecting the dots. You know, protest theater backed by billionaires, mass infiltration across our border, and a media machine that, just kind of gaslights anyone into oblivion for asking questions. But now we're at the part where what they don't want you to hear. I mean, they really don't want you to hear. All right, murder. Let's talk about the price of dissent in 2025 America. So last week in Minnesota, State Representative Melissa Hortman was shot and killed in her own home in Brooklyn Park, and her husband Mark was killed alongside her. Less than 24 hours later, State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were also attacked, ambushed in their own driveway. Hoffman survived barely, but his wife Yvette is still fighting for her life. And the man responsible? A 44-year-old named Vance Bolter, posed as a law enforcement officer, used a fake badge to gain access, killed without hesitation, had planned escape routes, burned documents, and this was not some spur-of-the-moment outburst, okay? This was a premeditated political assassination. Guess what they found in his car? Multiple No Kings flyers, riot masks, a printed list of over 70 names of elected officials, journalists, pro-life leaders, and even police officers. Maps with schools and courthouses circled. This wasn't just a hit job. It was the opening act of something darker. Okay? This is the real face of extremism. And don't let the headlines fool you. This wasn't a random guy having a mental break. Bolter had a manifesto with pages pulled directly from online protest talking points. And he'd referenced dismantling the monarchy of American fascism, reclaiming justice by any means necessary, and making politicians pay for their betrayal. He wasn't ranting about Trump, okay? He was targeting Democrats who broke from the narrative. This is what makes this different. Melissa Hortman had recently voted against sweeping climate spending bill changes that was pushed by DC progressives. John Hoffman was one of a few state Democrats calling for border enforcement and increased police funding. And guess what? Both had received threats from online activist accounts accusing them of being traitors to the movement. So let's be real. Okay, this wasn't right versus left. Okay, this was left versus control. And when the left doesn't get control, they eliminate the variable.
Right.
This is what happens when a movement that tolerates radicalism as a strategy, when by any means necessary, stops being a metaphor and becomes murder. I mean, this is crazy. These people are elected to office. And we talk about the left eating the left. This is absolutely the left eating the left. So let's talk about that No Kings connection, right? Those flyers that they found in this guy's car. No Kings, right? Same slogan, same font, same art style. The exact branding used by the June 14th protests in Los Angeles, D.C., and dozens of other cities nationwide, which we all knew was going to take place on the 14th, okay? We all knew about it. So how could we all know about it, okay, if this wasn't so well organized and well funded? And sponsored by the media, of course. Now, I want to be, responsible here in saying that there are no official connection, okay, between the No Kings organizers and this killer. But what we do know, okay, is that the flyers in Bolter's car match those that were used in L.A. and Minneapolis. Multiple witnesses say he attended local protests during the weekend before the murders, and Bolter was known to post No Kings affiliated stuff on their Telegram and on their Discord channels under the handle Numeric XXV or Numeric 25.
Wow.
So, but why hasn't a single mainstream journalism talked about this? Imagine if this guy had worn a red hat, right? Think about that.
Oh, yeah.
Or he'd been holding a Gadsden flag or reading the Bible, right? You'd never hear the end of it. But because oh, he used the right slogans and attacked the wrong people. Well, the media's already, burying the story, saying, oh, he was troubled, disenfranchised. Maybe he just needed therapy, right? Give me a friggin' break. All right? When ideology becomes a license to kill, guess what? It stops being activism. It's just straight up terrorism. Right? And if our institutions won't call it that, well, then they're being complicit in it. Josh, tell us a little bit more about all this.
Yeah.
This list of names.
Yeah, let's talk about this list. Law enforcement confirmed that Bolter carried a printed spreadsheet of 70 names, including state senators, congresspeople, police chiefs, sheriffs, school board members, talk show hosts, and at least 4 journalists, including one from, I believe, Fox, another one from the Daily Wire. Check this out. Each name had a tag: compromised, needs removal, or target acquired.
Wow.
Stop and think about what kind of slick, militarized worldview that represents. Because if that's what we're dealing with, then this man saw elected officials not his enemies, okay? Not fascists, just people he disagreed with, okay? As legitimate targets for elimination. And he's not the only one. Ask any sheriff, ask any border agent or cop in a blue city, and they'll tell you threats are up. Home visits, doxing, stalkers. Why? Oh, because the media and the elite have created 2 Americas. One is violence is resistance, and one where it's insurrection. So guess which one gets excused, right? The violence one, of course.
Right.
So,
yeah, 2 violences, man. They're doing the same stuff. I mean, they call it insurrection, and they're the bad J6ers. They call it resistance to the good LA rioters.
Ooh, unbelievable. Well, guess what? We're in a war and people are dying. And the truth is that it's not being fought on battlefields. It's in our backyards, on our doorsteps, in courthouses. And the casualties are no longer theoretical. This week it was Minnesota. Next week it could be anywhere. Because when you make resistance into religion, okay, someone is always going to take it too far. These people think they're like literally like the revolution or whatever in Star Wars, the rebels, right? The Jedis or whatever. This is years of activist rot, media gaslighting, and elite silence. You told the people the system was broken. You told them politicians were evil. You told them revolution was justice. You handed them slogans. And now you're shocked somebody actually pulled the trigger? It's not surprising. It's inevitable. And they've got their marching orders. Okay? It's crazy. So what do? We act like this is real because it is. All right? We demand congressional investigations into radical protest funding. We force the Department of Justice to treat left-wing political violence the same as January 6th, right? Because that's what they did to the people on the right that were very peaceful, stayed in the velvet ropes, right? And they put these people in prison. I met some of these people, okay? I know folks that have been in those gulags that were unfairly treated. Okay, we need to protect our candidates, our lawmakers, and dissenters. Yes, even the Democrats from mob rule. Arm every truth teller with cameras, backup, and legal defense. Call out the media outlets that downplay the excuse of violence from approved sources.
Right.
Most importantly, we speak, we vote, we organize, and we defend. Because when good men stay quiet, the bad men show up at your door. And I'm not afraid of these cowards. And I'm sure as hell not going to bow to their slogans. So if you want to see some change here, please join us at leozacky.com. Send this episode out to at least 5 people. And if you're in office, speak now or risk silence forever.
Amen.
America isn't dying. She's under attack, and it's time to fight back, folks.
For one nation under God, for America.
Dumb up.
Sounds like those interviews will follow up what you had to say today.